I'm Grant Garrison. Welcome to the only golf channel where impact comes first. You know, most golfers are trying to fix their swing to fix their ball flight. They chase perfect backswing positions, copy the tour pros, and obsess over how their swing looks, as if that's going to control where the ball goes. But here's the truth. The ball doesn't react to your swing style, it only reacts to what you do at impact. And that's what sets this channel apart. We flip the script. Here, we don't change your movement unless it improves your impact. Instead of telling you what you're doing wrong like everyone else, I help you discover the motion that works best for you. This is the first episode in a 6-part series on the 6 impact conditions that determine every shot you hit. Not opinions, not theories, just facts, straight from the ball. And we're starting with the most fundamental and the most misunderstood, low point, where the club meets the ground. If you can't control this one, the rest doesn't matter. So let's dive in. Okay, so let's talk about low point, because if you don't understand and develop this skill, I'm afraid you'll never be a consistent ball striker. It's what low handicap golfers have, and it's something everyone needs to develop as soon as possible. Now, low point is the lowest point the club head reaches in your swing arc. For all your clubs except your driver and, of course, your putter, that point needs to be after you strike the ball, and it's in a different measurement for each one of your clubs. It might surprise you how much it is. But that's how you compress the ball and create quality contact. If your low point is too far behind the ball, you'll hit fat shots and thin shots, and they're both caused by the low point being too far behind the ball. It's like one cause for 2 misses that most golfers experience throughout a round of golf. Now here's the point that most golfers don't realize. The low point doesn't change. It stays just forward of center in your stance for every club. What changes is where we place the ball in relation to it. Now, let me show you a graph where I create an illustration for this. It shows the low point remaining constant in red, just ahead of center, while the ball moves further back into stance as the clubs get shorter. On the right is the actual distance the low point needs to be with each club for a pure strike. Now, if we were to compare this graph to Ben Hogan's famous graph in his book he wrote in 1957 called 5 Lessons, he kept his ball in one spot and changed his stance, aiming more left as the clubs got shorter, and then progressively to the right for the longer clubs. Now, that works too, but there's a catch. When you alter your stance like that, you also lock yourself into certain alignments, which limits your ability to change your club's path to shape shots. So we need a way that is more flexible than Hogan's diagram. So how can we measure low point? Well, the evidence is the quality of your ball contact. However, if you enjoy indoor golf as much as I do and have access to a TrackMan or comparable launch monitor, it'll actually give the number to you. And this gives you an amazing opportunity to fine-tune it. Now, TrackMan started as a radar system used to measure ball flight, but over the years it evolved into one of golf's most trusted tools for both measuring and training. And in 2014, they started tracking club data, and it included low point. Now get this, studies have shown conclusively that the best players in the world have a more consistent low point, showing a difference between major tour winners and regular tour players. The consistency then drops significantly for scratch players, and then the higher your handicap, the less consistent your low point is. Doesn't it make you wonder why golfers are not all working on this skill directly? Now let me show you how I use it to train myself. Now, I believe in gamifying every practice session that you do, because if it's fun and engaging, you're going to want to do it often. And the more you practice, the better you're going to get. Now, a good game you can make easier or harder. So a good low point game might be as simple as this. We start off with maybe a 1/3 backswing, then we go to a 2/3, and then maybe a full backswing. So let's start off getting the low point right on a 1/3 backswing. Okay, that was nice. That was pure impact right there. Not hard for me. Let's try it one more time. Just a 1/3. Good, and I felt my hips moving forward. I felt my weight shifting, and I could see right in the grass that my low point was in front of the golf ball. So now I'm ready to go to the 2/3. And I did it. Okay, so that was my 2/3 backswing, and I did it again. Now I'm going to go to the full. This is where some people might have a hard time going to the full and still getting that perfect low point. That's a good example of a game that you could start right away. And you can get real creative with your games. Here's one that I used to use with my college students. We start off with a pitching wedge, then I go to a 8-iron, 6-iron, hybrid, and 3-wood. I'm going to hit one club for one shot. If I get my low point correct, then I go to the next club. I go shortest to longest. The idea is that I'm going to hit all my clubs one time, and I'm going to try to get to that 3-wood. So I start off with a pitching wedge. Low point was perfect on that. And then I go to my 8-iron, and we try it again. Oh, that was nice. Pure. Then I go to my 6. Now, any time that I miss, I have to start all over again. I'll have to go back to my pitching wedge. Here's my 6-iron. Oh, that was a little bit chunky. I actually hit the ground behind the golf ball. So that was a fail. And I go back to my pitching wedge. It's kind of like around the world. Got to start over. Games like this will really help you on the golf course, get the low point in front of the golf ball. Can you imagine on every shot on the golf course, no fat shots and no thin shots, because you've trained yourself right out of them? Well, you might be wondering why low point would be the #1 impact factor that you've got to get right. There's several reasons. Number one is that a golfer needs to learn how to hit the ground. You know, it's your arms and your wrists working vertically that allow you to hit the ground. You've got to learn how to hit Mother Earth, okay, the big ball. And a lot of golfers actually don't learn this right away. And then what happens is if the low point gets behind the golf ball, then they get ground scared and they're afraid to hit the ground. And this is the majority of golfers that play the game. I remember as a junior golfer, I was topping the golf ball a lot, and I think my dad was getting tired of it. Didn't want to play with me anymore. So when we got home one day after golf, he sent me in the backyard and he said, I want you to hit the ground 100 times in a row. And I had to figure out what made the club go down. I also had to figure out how to maintain my posture and do all the things that were necessary for me to hit the earth. And that made a huge difference in my game, just building that one skill. Another great hack is that if you're ever teaching someone that's a beginner golfer, just simply put a coin down on a mat, have them hit twigs, leaves, anything on the ground, and get good at it, because they're building the skills of low point. We used to give a lot of beginner golf lessons in my learning centers. We'd always put a coin on the mat and challenge the student to hit it at least 10 times in a row. Then we put a golf ball on top of the coin and tell them to do the same thing. It is an amazing way of learning low point straight away. So another reason why low point is the #1 thing you need to work on is because you have to have a reasonable path towards the target in order to achieve it. For example, if I were to swing way to the right, you'll notice that the entire swing plane changes and the low point goes behind the golf ball. Conversely, if my swing plane goes to the left and I swing this direction, the low point will go too far in front of the golf ball. So when you achieve a good low point, you also achieve a reasonable path that goes towards the target. Remember, form follows function. So what is the function of a golf club? Most would say to hit the ball or to lift the ball off the ground. And the fact is, this is the result. The function of an iron is to hit the ground in the right place. And that's exactly where your attention should be. Low point drills won't help you understand the function. And that brings us to one of the most quoted lines in golf. The secret is in the dirt. Ben Hogan. And most people took Hogan's quote to mean you have to hit millions of balls like he did, grind it out, and figure the swing out for yourself. And yes, he probably did mean that. But I want to offer you a second meaning. The secret is in the dirt, literally. Where is the club entering the turf? Is there a divot at all? Is it behind the ball? Too much in front? What does your divot look like? Is it deep, shallow? What direction is your divot going? What mark you leave on the ground tells everything about your swing. And your swing changes need to be built around it. So here's your new game. Go hit balls off of nice grass. And every shot, I want you to look down and ask, where did the club hit the ground? Was it before the ball or after? What movement in my body would have caused that? And then get curious and adjust and then go explore. This is how they did it in the beginning, and it's still the best way. Because that moment when steel meets soil, that's the moment that defines your shots and your score. But before I let you go, I want to leave you with something. Not a drill. Think of it as playing the same game the pros play. Next time you practice on the good grass range, don't just hit balls. I want you to make art. Try carving a straight line of divots. Create a perfect square or a tight circle. Or better yet, carve your initials into the soil. Now, this isn't just for fun. It's a test of control, of awareness, and of skill. And if you ever walk onto a range and see a clean, crisp pattern in the grass, or maybe go view the driving range after a professional event, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. Because great ball strikers leave evidence that they were there. Now, if you compare that to what most golfers practice on, like hard mats, crusty, unforgiving surfaces, no feedback, no divot, and no truth, it's no wonder so many can't control their low point. So if you're serious about ball striking, get on good grass. Watch that club hit the earth, shape it, study it, and learn from it. Because Ben Hogan was right. The secret really is in the dirt. So I hope you gained some valuable truths in this video. Now, let's move on to controlling the next impact factor that will improve your game the most.